At the beginning of this movie we will be shown with a boy named Thong Di, who lives a hard life, where every day he is always the target of bullying by other boys. He could not do anything, and even though he ran to avoid them, the bullies were even more aggressively chasing him and attacking him with stones thrown at him. On another day, Thong Di tried to avoid the bullies by hiding in a market, and there he saw a group of people practicing martial arts. He then approached and asked the teacher to teach him martial arts, so that later he would be strong and able to face the attacks of the bully boys who always bothered him. However, the teacher only accepted teenagers as students in his college and could not accept Thong Di as his student. It was because according to the tradition in his village that young children were forbidden to practice martial arts, fearing that the martial arts knowledge he had learned was used for bad things or misused. Not long after, Thong Di's father came and asked Thong Di to leave the martial arts college immediately. His father did not want Thong Di to learn martial arts or get involved in any activities that could harm him. His father even took Thong Di to a monk so that the monk could advise Thong Di on the dangers of martial arts. Thong Di's father, who was a devout Buddhist, was also strongly opposed to martial arts because he thought it was tantamount to violence. But instead of helping Thong Di's father by warning Thong Di, the monk allowed him to learn martial arts as long as it was for self-defense and not violence. The next day when Thong Di was playing around the temple, some village children again attacked him by throwing stones at him. Among the children, there is a boy named Churd, who is the only child of a nobleman who is quite wealthy and most influential in the village. Thong Di began to feel disgusted by the treatment of Churd and the other children, so he tried to learn self-defense with simple equipment that he made himself. Thong Di not only has a high fighting spirit, but also an extraordinary talent in martial arts. This can be proven when he managed to beat other children, even though he only practiced for one day. Since that incident, Thong Di has continued to train his physical strength and hone his skills so that he can become a powerful fighter. When Thong Di was a teenager, he was again targeted by the Churd group because they wanted revenge for what Thong Di did to them a few years ago. But even though they came with horses and sharp weapons, Thong Di was still able to defeat them one by one after he led them into the forest. Churd went home upset, and went straight to his father to report what Thong Di had done. Unfortunately, after Churd's father found out that Churd intended to attack Thong Di, his father turned to scold him because Thong Di was one of the mercenaries in their village who could make a lot of money for him. Churd's father, who is annoyed, warns Churd not to bother Thong Di again or he will kick him out of his house. Since Thong Di's abilities and strengths were recognized by the villagers, Thong Di was often paid to fight against fighters from other villages or colleges. Every time he won a fight, Thong Di's teacher and Churd's father who had bet on his victory would get a bigger payoff. Not only Thong Di, male students from colleges in their village are also often the object of bets even though they have to sacrifice their own lives. However, unlike other students, Thong Di is known as a strong fighter who is invincible with the greatest chance of winning, so he is often considered a money-making machine. Unfortunately, all that changed when one day Thong Di was defeated by a great fighter named Kru Hao, who came from another village. Kru Hao was able to make Thong Di cornered and overwhelmed, until finally he fell unconscious. The teacher and other students were disappointed with Thong Di, and chose to leave him alone by the river. Shortly after, a young man who was drunk on alcohol helped Thong Di and pulled him to the riverbank. When Thong Di woke up, he immediately asked the man where his teacher and other students were. The man explained that they had all dumped him because he couldn't make any more money. Thong Di felt very disappointed with his teacher who had left him just because of money. The man then told him that all the attacks Thong Di had previously performed were too weak, and had no special techniques at all. The man suggested that Thong Di travel to various places and start learning real martial arts because he felt that the martial arts taught in the village were false arts. Thong Di obeyed those words and began to travel to find a better martial arts college. After walking quite a distance, he finally arrived at a martial arts college in a village and immediately started training there. When the teacher at the college noticed Thong Di's sudden arrival, the teacher immediately asked about his identity and the purpose of coming to the place. Thong Di revealed that he purposely traveled to various martial arts colleges to learn various martial arts techniques. Hearing this, the teacher allowed him to participate in martial arts training in that place with other fighters. The teacher seemed impressed with Thong Di's physical strength and fighting ability, because within a few days, Thong Di had been able to defeat many fighters from that college. Therefore, the teacher appreciated Thong Di by teaching him a special technique that he could use to defeat his opponent more easily. One day, when one of Churd's men was buying some food in the village, he saw Thong Di who was practicing martial arts in that place. The young man immediately rushed to meet Churd to report it to him, so that the next day, Churd and his troops immediately came to the college. Churd threatens teachers from the college to hand over Thong Di. If they refuse, he and his troops will burn down all the houses in the village. The teacher also felt angry and annoyed with the threats because Churd had insulted the dignity of his college. One of Churd's bodyguards starts arguing with the teacher and even intends to kidnap the teacher's daughter. Before the situation escalated, Thong Di decided to surrender himself so that Churd would not create trouble in the village. Churd began to tie Thong Di's hands and drag him using the horse he was riding so that Thong Di could only surrender without putting up any resistance. But when Churd's men began to burn the houses belonging to residents in the village, Thong Di could not let that happen, so he immediately untied Churd's horse and immediately attacked him. After defeating Churd with one attack, Thong Di rushed to help the residents defeat the bad guys until they were taken down. Churd could only accept his defeat for the umpteenth time and immediately ran away from that place. After all the fires were contained and the situation returned to normal, Thong Di decided to say goodbye to the teachers and students at the college. Thong Di realized that if he stayed longer at the college, the entire population would be in danger, so he would have to continue his journey elsewhere. Meanwhile, Churd's father is busy scolding Churd because he failed to bring Thong Di back, which makes Churd's father lose his best paid fighter. Churd and his men also intend to beat up the people who had previously helped Thong Di escape. The two of them even intended to kidnap the other villagers into the forest and kill them one by one. On the other hand, while Thong Di was walking through the forest, a young man named Bunketh quietly followed Thong Di from behind. It turned out that Bunketh intended to join Thong Di's journey because he was very interested in learning martial arts with him. The next day, Thong Di and Bunketh arrived at a stage for an art performance held in a village. Bunketh also approached a girl manager named Ling Ling, and asked if she was in need of additional workers. Ling Ling also introduced Thong Di and Bunketh to her father and informed him that the two travelers were in need of work. At first, her father refused to accept them as workers because the profits from performing arts were running low lately. But after learning that Thong Di and Bunketh were willing to pay a small fee, her father allowed them both to join the show tonight. The two also worked as show actors for one night so they could earn some money for food. The next morning when Bunketh woke up from his sleep, he found that Thong Di had already left for the forest. At the same time, Churd and his troops began to carry out their plan to terrorize the residents and attack them one by one. They even had time to attack a horse carriage that was ridden by a girl named Lim Young. Fortunately, Thong Di happened to pass through the forest, so he immediately helped her and fought against Churd's troops. After successfully defeating them and rescuing Lim Young, Thong Di intends to go on his way to another village. But before that, Lim Young gave a gold ring and a horse carriage as a thank you to Thong Di for saving her. A few moments later, Thong Di arrived at a village and immediately asked about self-education in that village. After learning that the martial arts college in the village was one of the best in the western region, he immediately went to see the martial arts teacher so he would be allowed to study there.
ข้าเองก็กินไม่จุดหรอกครับท่าน
After seeing Thong Di's ability, the teacher accepted Thong Di as his student and immediately brought him together with Bunketh, who had already arrived in the village. Thong Di also began to conduct intensive training under the direction of his second teacher so that his abilities could improve faster. A few days later, the teacher realized Thong Di's potential and offered him to take part in the intercollegiate fighting competition. Thong Di also trains hard every day to win the fighting competition and give pride to the college that houses him. On the day the fighting competition was about to be held, Thong Di again met Ling Ling and Lim Young, who happened to be traveling in the village. As the battle was about to begin, leaders from other schools seemed to underestimate Thong Di's teacher and his college. But in the end, Thong Di managed to turn things around and prove that his college was far superior to theirs. Even Thong Di managed to humiliate the enemy by defeating the best fighters and teachers from the college. After the competition was over, Thong Di said goodbye to the teacher and continued his journey to learn more other martial techniques. On this trip, Thong Di and Bunketh will go with Ling Ling and another young man. In the third village, Thong Di and the others met an old man who liked to get drunk, but he was very good at using weapons. Thong Di and the others began to study with the old man by giving him a few bottles of alcohol as payment. They also train very hard every day to master the technique of using swords and other weapons. Long story short, after undergoing intensive training, Thong Di and the others managed to master the skill of using the sword and received a weapon as a gift from the man. While continuing their journey in the forest, Thong Di and the others were suddenly attacked by Churd's troops, causing Bunketh to suffer severe injuries. Fortunately, Thong Di was able to defeat and kill Churd's men, although in the end, Churd managed to escape. Thong Di and the others rushed to take Bunketh to a healer in the opposite village so that he could be rescued immediately. Thong Di then thanked a man named Ruang for helping them find a healer. At that place, Thong Di accidentally met Lim Young, who turned out to be the daughter of Kru Hao, who had previously defeated him. Kru Hao then invites Thong Di to take part in a fighting competition organized by the king in the coming days. He accepts the offer and begins to prepare to fight against the best fighters from other colleges. When the day of the competition between fighters arrived, Thong Di and Kru Hao managed to beat the other fighters quite easily. Until in the end, Thong Di had to face Kru Hao, which in that fight, the king risked a lot of money for Kru Hao's victory. Even though Kru Hao had previously defeated him, Thong Di was not afraid and kept trying to win the fight. With a variety of training and martial arts that he has learned so far, he was finally able to defeat Kru Hao in that duel fight. After the fight was over, the king seemed impressed with Thong Di's abilities because he had managed to defeat several of the king's mainstay fighters. When the king was about to give the prize to the winners, a group of troops suddenly entered the center of the arena and attacked the king. The troop was initiated by Ruang, who previously helped Thong Di find a healer to save Bunketh. There was a brief fight between the king's troops and the troops from Ruang, but the fight was successfully stopped when Ruang revealed to everyone that he was the real king. It turned out that the king who had previously held a fighting competition was just a deceitful leader who wanted to earn a lot of money from fighting bets. Ruang also managed to reclaim the king's throne, which was previously controlled by the fake king, and began to appoint Thongdi as the royal warlord. The ending scene shows where Thongdi returns to his village with Lim Young to meet his mother, who has been waiting for him for a long time. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy, hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. You should watch the full movie. Thank you very much for watching.